Concern podcast, where we unpack political, socio-economic, and cultural stories shaping our world. I'm Emmanuel Taban, and on this section of our podcast, I want us to look at the recent announcement in South Sudan by the Ministry of Justice, where the ministry came out and announced that they have concluded the investigation of Riek Machar, the first Vice President of South Sudan, and all the other accused colleagues of his on the issues that made him actually to be detained in March. Now, for context, last March, when the incident in Nasir happened, where there were militia groups that engaged in some kind of conflict or war or fighting with the government forces, after some few days, the government went and detained Dr. Riek Machar, put him under house arrest, and they started pursuing some of his colleagues. And the reason why they did that was because they believed that Machar and his colleagues were behind inciting the violence in Nasir, but also have committed other crimes. Now, today, the Minister of Justice made an announcement that the investigation team that was actually organized, that was set to carry out on the investigation of whether Machar and his colleagues were part of that incident that happened in Nasir, the committee has concluded its investigation and that they have charged Machar and his colleagues with lots of crimes. One, they have charged him of treason, they have charged him of murder, they have charged them of conspiracy, they have charged them of financing terrorism, they have charged them of involvement in crimes against humanity and other crimes. And most of these crimes, according to the South Sudan Penal Code, they are all, like crimes that can easily lead to death as a penalty, especially the treason and things to do with terrorism. Now, what does this mean? Machar and his colleagues being charged with all these crimes actually does not mean that they are guilty, okay? It doesn't mean that they're found guilty of actually committing the crimes. The charge means the government has actually found that these people have committed the crimes, but now the government has to prove it right. They have to take all evidence, present them in a very viable court, and then a trial has to be made. The court has to see that these people have actually committed these crimes before they have been actually pronounced guilty. It doesn't mean they are guilty until the court finds out. Remember, no one is supposed to be treated in a manner that they are guilty until they're found. The presumption of innocence, or I don't know, these words in law and other those things of stuff. But my intention for this video is that this is going to be one of the most decisive moments in the history of this country. A few moments have gone down in the history of this country, in the history of South Sudan. When we look at the Anyanya Wars, we're talking about the Torrid Mutiny that has decided the future of this country. We're looking at the 25 CPA, Comprehensive Peace Agreement. These are moments that have actually shaped the future of this country. When we look at the history to do with the 2018 agreement, the revitalized agreement, these are moments that have actually shaped this country. When we look at the history of 2013 about the reshufflement of the entire cabinet, these are moments that have actually shaped the future of South Sudan. And this moment ahead of us is yet another moment that could easily determine the future of South Sudan. Machar and his colleagues, the fact here is that, I'm not defending anyone here. I'm not saying these people charged with the crimes, they are innocent, or the government is just trying to do some trap-up charges. No, this is not what I'm saying. But the fact is that when we look at the list of these people charged with all the crimes, you will know that they come from mainly one community. That's one, the Nuer community. And that is the fact. And we all know that the Nuer community is the second largest community in South Sudan. So to so many people, including the Nuer community people, this case is not just an ordinary case to them. It is not a case against individuals. It is not a case against Riek Machar or Paul Kog and so on. This is a case that they're taking it, they're taking it to themselves. And they feel this is not a trial against individuals, but it is a trial against an entire community. This is what so many people are seeing. I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but that is how our society has been shaped. That is how our politics has been shaped. It is built on individuals. I mean that when we're talking about Riek Machar, we're talking about the Nuer community. When we talk about Kir and we talk about the likes of other people, we're talking about the Denga community. When we're talking about certain individuals, we're talking about the Equatorial community. This is the reality on how our politics has been built, and this is so bad. A trial against individuals shouldn't have been seen as a trial against an entire community. I mean, crime has no place in any country. It has no place at all. And therefore, I think all the eyes of South Sudanese are now on the judiciary. This is a moment where the judiciary has to determine the future of South Sudan. This is a very vital moment. I mean, it's not a joke, guys. This is not just a petty thing. It's not a petty case. Just think deeper about this case. What is it gonna be like in case these people are found guilty and they face the penalty for those crimes? How would it be seen? Think about the result. Think about what is gonna happen after that. Think about what is gonna happen after declaring that these people who are charged with these crimes are actually found guilty. This is yet another moment that is going to determine the history of our country. Just like the Torrid Mutiny, just like the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, just like the 2013 incident, just like the Revitalized Agreement on the Resolution of Conflict in South Sudan. These are all very vital historical moments that have actually, in one way or the other, shaped the future of South Sudan, and will go down into history, and people will have to live with the impact that these moments have created. And this moment ahead of us is not exceptional. It's just going to be one of those moments that has to impact the life of every single South Sudanese. I mean, my hope is that the judiciary in its own wisdom will find ways on how this issue will be solved in a way that does not, ignite some kind of tensions again in the country. Because, it is very common sense that people can easily see what would be the results of this if this case is not handled properly. And also, my appreciation is that this is actually one of its first kind that we have seen very prominent political figures being arraigned in court of laws to face justice because of crime they are alleged to have done. This is a significant moment for South Sudan. It is a very significant moment for South Sudan, not only in a good manner, but could be also in a bad manner. And therefore, this is a moment where the judiciary has to apply wisdom. The executive, or even those who have accused the likes of Machar and his colleagues, must accept the results that the judicial will come up with, if it's not in their favor. And also, it is a time that the supporters of Machar have to agree with the results that the judiciary is going to come up with, if it is not influenced by the executive. And they must know that any results that will come out of the judiciary that is not influenced by the executive should be upheld, and so should also be applied to the government side or to the executive side. And again, guys, this is just a very, very monumental moment in the history of our country. This is a time where the history of our country is going to be shaped in a decision that you might not see it as being, as a very big one, but this is another big moment for the history of our country. Thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel, and this is the Concern Podcast. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that. And it's just a way of making this channel grow. Thank you so much. This is the Concern Podcast, where we unpack political, social, and economic stories that shapes our world and shape our communities.